On to the latest coming in. There seems to be no relief in sight for Pakistan from the Financial Action Task Force. Wion has now learned through sources in Pakistan that the country is likely to remain on the FATF's grey list. The FATF is the global anti-terror financing watchdog. It's been monitoring Pakistan's performance for months now. The Pakistan government has been asked by the money laundering watchdog to complete the implementation of its action plan at the earliest. That's what sources are pointing towards at this point. But for now, the country will reportedly stay on the grey list till the next plenary session that's scheduled for February 2020. An official announcement by the body is expected to be made tomorrow, which is the last day of the ongoing session of the FATF. Remember, Pakistan was placed on the grey list by the Paris-based watchdog in June last year and was given a plan of action which was to be completed by October this year. Else, the country faces the risk of being placed on the blacklist along with Iran and North Korea. Now, if Pakistan continues to be on the grey list, it would become extremely difficult for the Imran Khan government to get financial aid from the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank and the European Union, making its existing financial crisis even worse. And our Pakistan Bureau Chief, Anas Malik, has been tracking the very latest. What more can you share with us at this point, Anas? What are your sources telling you?
Well, Molly, there is no relief in sight for the Pakistani government, for Pakistan and the Pakistani government from the Financial Action Task Force. That is for sure. But that too remains great news for Pakistan, because the Pakistani government sources are adamant amidst the news or the threat of being pushed into the blacklist, or the threat that was looming over. That has now been averted for the time being, and Pakistan is to remain on the grey list. Now, that does not mean that it is good news, because it will continue to lose $10 billion annually from its economy, that the economic influx that is to be there in its economy in terms of investments or remittance. That does not mean that it gets off the list of anti-terror, the global terror watchdog, that Pakistan is not involved in anti-terror financing, or for the fact that there is not money not being laundered out of Pakistan. But that being said, the fact that Pakistan is not being pushed into the grey list for now, that remains a source of happiness for the Pakistani government officials and that delegation that has gone to Paris in the lead of a federal minister, Mr. Hamad Azhar. Now, what sources in the Pakistani government are telling Pakistan to complete the implementation of the 27-pointer agenda. Now, remember, the percentage of the implementation from FATF is yet to be known. It will be made public tomorrow. Pakistani side had claimed that it has, quote-unquote, fully implemented at least 20 of the pointers of the action plan out of the 27 that it had agreed upon. So a lot remains to be implemented, a lot remains to be seen, and especially the fact that how satisfied is Financial Action Task Force itself, that remains to be seen as well. But the only relief or victory as Pakistani side is claiming, or that breath of fresh air, is the fact that it is not being blacklisted. It will continue to remain on the grey list until next year's plenary session that is to be held in February 2020. Yes, Molly?
Right. So what the FATF assessment tells us is, of course, sharp contrast to what Pakistan has been claiming so far. We're going to leave it there for the moment. Anas, appreciate your joining us for that update. Sources telling us that the FATF has now decided that Pakistan will remain on the body's grey list. If Imran Khan had $1 for every time someone mentioned terror, he would be a rich man, rich enough to fix his government's misplaced priorities. Because Pakistan will lose $10 billion a year if it remains on the FATF's grey list, which, as per sources, is going to happen since Pakistan has failed to convince the body that it has taken measures in compliance with the requirements. Our next report telling you more.
हमने एक्सपर्ट से कैलकुलेशन कराई, सिर्फ ग्रे लिस्ट में रहने से पाकिस्तान को कम से कम $10 अरब का नुकसान हुआ। अल्लाह ना करे अगर वो हो जाए।
Even as a low-end estimate, $10 billion is a lot of money. Money that, if directed towards the right path in Pakistan, could lead to impressive accomplishments. Why are we telling you this? Because that's the amount of money Pakistan stands to lose every year as punishment for sponsoring terrorism. And here's what Pakistanis stand to lose because of their government's misplaced priorities. Let's tell you how far the zeros in $10 billion can stretch. Pakistan is fighting a dengue outbreak, 25,000 cases this year. One dengue vaccine costs roughly $250. So with just $6.2 million, the Imran Khan government can cure almost all of its dengue cases, if it wants to. Clearly it doesn't. Education is a fundamental human right, but in Pakistan it's also an expensive proposition. Private schools charge anywhere between $500 to $1,500 a year. Even if we keep the highest estimate possible, Pakistan can educate over 10,000 students with just $15 million. But it's using its children as propaganda pushers, not investing in their education. According to the World Bank, 29.5% of people were below the poverty line in Pakistan in 2014. That's 55 million people. An inexpensive meal should cost less than $1 given where the Pakistani rupee stands today. So even if you spend a hefty $2 per person, Pakistan could end up feeding this many people at least for a day. Just this year, Pakistan enhanced its allocations to the agriculture sector to 12 billion rupees. This is equivalent to $76 million. Pakistan needs this money because it has already leased out thousands of acres of agricultural land to China for CPEC. Pakistan is running out of water. It has already run out of cash, so the government is crowdfunding to collect almost $17 billion to build two massive dams. With $10 billion, it can afford to finish a multi-purpose dam in Mohmand, 37 kilometers north of Peshawar. It will cost around $2.5 billion and generate 740 megawatt of hydroelectricity and will irrigate 15,100 acres of land. That's about 1.5 times as big as Rock Island. Speaking at the UNGA in September, Imran Khan made a passionate pitch for climate change.
We planted 1 billion trees in 5 years. Now we've set ourselves a target of 10 billion trees in Pakistan.
10 billion trees to counter global warming effects. We've done the math for Imran Khan. It could cost him just $1.7 for a sapling to be planted along with transport, maintenance and operating costs. So now that we've answered a series of billion-dollar questions for Pakistan, here's the truth. Pakistan is investing in terrorists, not in education, not in food security, not in climate change, not in infrastructure, and even with the economy on the brink of collapse, Pakistan won't course correct to save $10 billion for its people. Bureau Report, Wion, World is One.